Just after 7 o'clock, our breaking news this morning: the battle to free the Iraqi city of Mosul from so-called Islamic State is underway.
Iraq's second largest city has been under IS control since 2014. If the military operation to liberate it is successful, it will be the biggest blow yet to IS. Well, Richard Gaisford is outside the Ministry of Defence. Richard, a major operation, and if it's successful, a massive blow against Islamic State.
This really is the big one that's been in planning for months now, Piers. If they can push the so-called Islamic State out of Mosul, they can rid Iraq of the group and also crush its dreams of creating a caliphate in the region. There's been an awful lot of planning here at the Ministry of Defence for this day. You have British troops and special forces supporting this operation, training and giving advice to the Peshmerga, the Kurdish forces, and to the Iraqi army as well. Royal Air Force jets will be in the skies, also supporting this, but a warning to everyone involved from the United Nations this morning. They are saying that all sides have to respect their international obligations and the safety of civilians involved. There's real concern from the UN today for hundreds of thousands of people in Mosul who they say will get caught in the crossfire and may well become a target. The battle started not with bombs, but thousands of leaflets dropped by Iraqi planes, warning people in Mosul to stay in their homes. More than 2 years ago, his soldiers turned and fled, gifting Mosul to the so-called Islamic State. Now the Iraqi Prime Minister announces they're ready to take it back. The capture of Mosul began a humanitarian crisis in the region as persecuted Christians and Yazidis ran for their lives. The front line around the city hardly shifting in more than 2 years of fighting. But the militants have lost their grip elsewhere in Iraq, already driven out of Ramadi and Fallujah, Mosul, their last Iraqi stronghold.
ISIL fighters will be based in hospitals, headquartered in many civilian areas, schools, trying to actually have a huge civilian count, in body count.
In 2014, some in Mosul welcomed the so-called Islamic State. As Iraqi and Kurdish forces move towards it, more than 600,000 are still thought to live in the city. It's feared they may be used as human shields. Richard Gaisford, Good Morning Britain.
The radical hate preacher Anjem Choudhury is facing up to 10 years in prison after being found guilty of inviting followers to support the so-called Islamic State. Police said the notorious cleric stayed just within the law for years, but eventually crossed the line when he pledged allegiance to the terrorist group.